IET, and our advisory committee members, chairman and vice chairman, our executive committee members and corporate members, past executive committee members, Rajesh Kumar, and the senior IET member, Sarveshwar Rao Garu, Madhusudan Garu, and Dr. Prasad, our executive committee member, and many more students and faculty members who all are attending this today's webinar. I welcome you all for this 66th webinar and the knowledge sharing session of our IIT Hyderabad Center. I would like to share one good news with you that just now our secretary Sri Namashiva Garu conveyed to you that you all can see that trophy. It is visible. So among all the 64 centers across in India, our center could be able to get this award. The credit goes to all the executive committee members as well as with the participation of all the members which who are attending regularly these webinars and participating in all our events. So on behalf of our executive members, I thank all the members for making all our programs, right from every Sunday webinar to the events which are conducted in the physical and hybrid mode due to this pandemic time. So the programs like, short-term courses, seminars, workshops, we have conducted Teachers Day, National Science Day, Women Empowerment Day, World Telecom Day, whatnot. All whichever schedule as for the IET events, everything we could be able to conduct successfully, both in the physical as well as in hybrid mode. We could be able to conduct some of the workshops also, like 3-day boot camp at DRDO and at IET. And we could be able to make another good event, virtual industry meet for our corporate members and students. It was really interesting, and many participants and students, they felt very happy for attending that virtual industry meet. So, and we could be able to bring out a bi-monthly newsletter every 2 months about the events and what are the activities our executive committee members Hyderabad Center is doing. So with that also we are getting very good feedback, and we have started improving from the day one which took over as committee members. So I thank every participant and especially all the webinar speakers from first webinar to today's 66th webinar, our Dr. Kosiganti Srinivasarao Garu, who are coming forward by sparing their valuable time without expecting any remuneration. So to help the young engineers and professionals, you all know that IIT works is a professional body on a non-profitable board. The IIT organization works. It works as a bridge between the professionals, industrialists, and the students and the professional faculty members. So we are doing our job, and we are thankful to all the professionals, faculty, and members who are coming forward in helping us. So on behalf of our executive committee members, I would like to convey to our corporate members and all the webinar participants one good news that our committee member, executive committee member, Dr. G. Prasad, who works as scientist in the NRSC, who is also got the IET Dr. Batra Memorial Award for the year 2021. So I congratulate Dr. Prasad for getting this award.
Thank you, sir. So, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you for your
Prasad.
support.
Thank you. On behalf of our executive committee members and myself, I thank once again our IETN, Dr. Kosiganti Srinivasarao, for coming forward to present today's webinar on big data and its characteristics. So I request all the participants, please attend the session, enjoy the session, and give us the feedback for further improvement. So thank you all.
Thank you, sir, for your nice welcome address. As you are all aware, of course, our IIT Hyderabad Center very actively are doing maximum programs. And actually, we are starting with, due to pandemic situation, we are starting in the online mode. And slowly, by November and December of the last year, switched over to the physical events. And up to February, we are continued. And again, due to situation, again, we are returned back to the online mode. And of course, now it is a time to go for physical activities now onwards. So I request all of you, please extend the same cooperation even for the physical cooperation, physical mode also. And very soon we are going to conduct this our IIT Hyderabad Foundation Day, where IIT Hyderabad Center is established in 1973, which we are completed 48 years, 47 years we are completed, and we are entering into 48th year, and we are celebrating this IIT Foundation Day celebrations on October, actually 11th, it is fallen 11th, but due Sunday, we are planned on 10th October. And for that, I am happy to inform you that our IIT, new IIT president, which is taken over the charge yesterday itself, Professor P. Prabhakar Garu, is also attending for this to grace the this celebrations, and also Usman University Vice Chancellor also is going to attend this one. So it is a physical event, sir. Kindly extend your same cooperation and request to attend in a big manner and try to take the grand success of this event. And slowly your other events also, our IIT Foundation Day also we are getting, and that also November 2nd. But due to convenience of the various participants, we want to celebrate on 31st October, which is on the Sunday. Okay, anyway, our IIT Hyderabad Center is the second largest center in India, having 2,500 corporate members. And one more thing, my request to all the participants, please spread the thing. A 25% pandemic situation discount for the IET Life membership is going to be ended very soon, within 4 days, 30th September. Already they extended 2 times, so there is no more extensions. They will give the headquarters. So I request you kindly spread the same news to your friends and other colleagues to become a life member of IET and avail the discount of 25%. Okay, thank you, sir. And now I request our EC member Sanjay Madam and also Chairman Women Empowerment Committee, please introduce of today's speaker, Dr. Kosiganti Srinivas Rao garu.
Excuse me.
Sir, sir.
Just take 1
Sir,
minute.
Lakshmi.
Sure, sir.
Sir, Lakshminarayan, please, sir. Please
Sure,
go ahead,
sir.
sir.
I'd like to convey my hearty congratulations to President, Chairman, Secretary, and Vice President working so hard.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Congratulate our engineer, Engineer Guram Prasad.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Special prize that gives Hyderabad a proud moment.
Sir, excuse me.
Good, sir.
Good morning. Good morning,
Thank you, sir.
Sarveshwar Rao. I congratulate Chairman and EC members of IET
Thank you,
Hyderabad team for bagging the Best Center Award. And also Dr. G. Prasad for bagging the most prestigious award of Dr. B.R. Batra award for his contribution to IET. Congratulations, Dr. Prasad and Mr. Gnanath.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for all your support.
All the best to you.
Thank you, sir.
Try to
Sir,
see the
please
value
be ready for this
and keep
lecture,
on
one
giving
day
further.
lecture with
Thank you.
IET.
Thank you, sir.
All the awardees are supposed to give one lecture at IET. Please be ready and give your date so that you can arrange one lecture.
Surely. I'll plan.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Now I request Sanjay Madam. Sanjay Madam is there?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Very good morning,
Please.
one and all. Once again, we welcome all of you to today's webinar. And I take the privilege to introduce today's speaker, Dr. Kosiganti Srinivas Rao garu, PhD, CSE Department, and designation is Principal Systems Architect, Tech Mahindra, Hyderabad. So, Srinivas Rao garu is having 26 years of experience in IT services, having expertise in Java, J2EE technologies, .NET, WCF, WPF, database, cloud computing, big data, etc. And sir is expertise in business analysis, gap analysis, requirements documentation, use cases, testing and project management. And key resource in solutions architecting and new business development support, project support. And sir is excellent in technical architecting of the web-based projects, especially in Java, Oracle application development framework, data warehousing, infrastructure management services, content management framework, data management testing, enterprise application integration, SOA, web services, ESB, OSB, big data, and cloud computing. And Sir worked for various prestigious clients across the globe in countries like Singapore, Malaysia, Australia, USA, Middle East, Hong Kong, Africa, etc. And currently acting as principal system architect for various projects and proposals in CDU resources cluster, and can be versatile both in solution architecting and as solution designing. And Sir worked in different domains like BFSI, manufacturing, power, public services, airlines, etc. And Sir developed estimation models for web technologies in function point analysis, use case point analysis, Delphi, Kokomo, and developed an estimation tool exclusively for ETL operations. And Sir, to his credentials, 13 times he achieved star rater in Tech Mahindra. And Sir is having congratulations, Sir. So Sir is having different professional certifications, to name few: TOGAF 9.1 certified, Cloud certified, Six Sigma Black Belt certified, Big Data Hadoop trained, Foundation certified, Prince 2 Foundation, and Practitioner certified, SAFE certified. So, thank you, sir, for accepting our request. And with this brief introduction, I'll hand out back to Secretary, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Now, with no more waste of the time, I request our today's speaker, Kosigandi Garu, please take over the session and continue.
Yeah. Thank you all. Am I audible to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So it's a great privilege for me actually, to render this particular session. And I heard, some happiest news from most of the, uh, profound people here actually. Okay, dragging some awards. IET going, marching forward actually, leaps and bounds, and it's a fantastic thing actually. And I did my ALCCS from IET, and after that I finished my PhD actually. Uh, so it's a privilege to me actually, and basically uh, b- today I'm going to present big data as such actually. Okay, big data and its characteristics. Uh, just give me 1 minute time. Okay. So can you able to see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
please.
Okay. See, basically, what is happening at this point in time in the world is, IT world is ever changing. Actually, change is constant. And predominantly, what is happening is the world has moved to digital at this point in time, actually, and basically, the latest technologies, the technologies which were to be latest actually, like Java, .NET, C Sharp, etc. Actually, started becoming obsolete actually. But you know, uh, when you talk about digital technologies and the advent of digital technologies in the IT world, which are actually phenomenally growing at this point in time, I would say, NMAX is one of the important keyword that I would like to use here actually, okay, which is networks, mobility, analytics, cloud, and security as such, okay. So basically, in these five sectors, a lot of things are happening. Networks is the biggest area actually. Okay, mobility. Okay, analytics is most biggest area I would say. Okay, cloud. I will tell you the importance of cloud and security as such actually. Okay, I worked with various clients across the world and basically I traveled across the world. And I found that most of the customers are now planning to move from obsolete technologies to digital technologies. There is a lot of transformation happening actually in the IT sector. Okay, and soon you would see, already would have seen actually, the likes of Google's, the likes of Amazon's, the likes of Apple's, uh, you know they have actually marched forward 10 years beyond, what the services companies like Tech Mahindra, TCS, or Infosys, or Wipro are rendering at this point in time. Actually, this is what is called as digital velocity as such. Actually. So what do you expect from Google? Google has done everything as such. Actually, as a search engine, as an engine actually, which could provide anything as such. Actually, okay. So the algorithms that are actually getting developed day in and day out in Google, in Microsoft, in Amazon's, they are very profound in nature as such. Okay. So there is a gap, that gap has to be fulfilled as such. Actually, okay. But they are marching so forward that see, many people would think that there is only scope for IT professionals, in software industry. It's not correct actually. Basically, what I would say is research is one of the important things that is happening emphatically well across different industries actually. And the term that I have named, which is digital escape velocity as such actually, okay, uh, which says that these Googles of the world have moved 10 years forward actually than the normal traditional companies as such actually, okay, or have become so popular because of the research that is happening actually day in and day out. There are a lot of algorithms that are getting evolved out as such, and most importantly, at this point in time, still, I would say that a lot of scope is there actually, for the algorithms to be developed as such. Okay. So with this backdrop, what I would like to say is, see, when you actually think about data, data has a life cycle actually. Okay. See, when you actually talk about raw data, raw data would be, which would be in raw in shape actually, which is not refined in shape as such actually. And when suppose for example, if you take AT&T as a telecom company as an example, AT&T actually is been termed in 127 different ways actually. Can you imagine that? Somebody says that AT ampersand T, somebody says that AT space ampersand space T, somebody says AT space A and D space T, like this. See, there is no consolidation of the acronyms or the words that are there that were there actually. There is a lot of duplicacy that is there because over the years, the systems have been developed actually. You still cannot believe that the biggest banks in the world actually, like SunTrust Bank, Bank of America, National Australian Bank, Commonwealth Bank actually. Okay, their core banking is still running on mainframes and COBOL as such. Actually, at this point in time, their core banking is running on mainframes and COBOL. Okay. In India, we have the largest private sector bank like ICICI, which has actually profound technologies. But over the years, what I have seen is the core banking is still running on obsolete technologies, and the business as usual actually, which I would call, which should run well, because the customer should not get disappointed at the end of the day as such actually. So if they want to implement new technologies, they should be very careful actually to bring out the new technologies, because unless and until you are very determined enough actually that the new technology is going to occupy the space that the old technologies has actually left out, then it becomes very difficult actually, because the business as usual should run at any point in time actually, 24 plus 7 plus 365 actually. So this makes the life much more zizantic as such actually, okay, or much more troublesome, uh, basically, because customers do not want to spend so much money when the business as usual is running very well as such actually. Okay. Having said that, but still they want to go out with newer technologies, innovative technologies, digital technologies actually. Okay. So what is the best means that they should actually adapt that one? So what they are doing is, on the top of the legacy technologies or obsolete technologies, they are actually trying to improve, the newer technologies. Like for example, in banking sector, if you take the core banking, actually, even if it is in mainframes and COBOL, the newer technologies, the newer banking domain sectors like internet banking, mercantile banking, demat banking, retail banking, wholesale banking, etc. Actually, are getting into newer technologies. Actually, that means you are seeing a blend of obsolete technologies as well as innovative technologies. Actually. So this is the finest phenomena that is happening in this world actually, because you are adapting the old technologies as well as new technologies, and the project management has become so difficult enough actually, because you have to maintain the older technologies as well as the newer technologies as well. Actually. So this is where what is happening is um, the likes of internet banking actually, or mercantile banking, all these started adapting the newer technologies like IBM technologies, or the kind of technologies like Python, etc. as such actually. Okay, so digital is going very well out actually at this point in time, and in next few years you would see actually a lot of advent in artificial intelligence and machine learning actually. Okay, people still talk about machine learning, artificial intelligence, robotics. They are abused words actually. Not abused words actually. They are used abusively as such. Now, I'm sorry, they're not abused words. They are used abusively by many people actually. Okay, in the sense that people say that they know machine learning. People say that they know artificial intelligence. People say that they have incorporated artificial intelligence, robotics, all that. Actually. What I would say is 10% of the technologies were not being implemented throughout the world. Take any company actually. Okay, so there is a lot of scope. 90% scope is there actually for these technologies actually. So how it is coming, that is what we need to think of actually. Okay. So if you think of data actually, data life cycle, data actually, raw data gets refined actually, okay, which becomes information, okay. Then information actually ultimately becomes knowledge, knowledge becomes wisdom, okay. This is the pattern of data actually, data to information, information to knowledge, knowledge to wisdom actually. Okay? So where are we in this world actually? Are we deriving the patterns for information? Are we deriving the patterns for data? Are we deriving the patterns for knowledge? Are we deriving the patterns for wisdom? Where are we? So at this point in time, we are deriving the patterns for information actually. Okay. Still, a lot of patterns have to be derived on knowledge as such actually. Okay. So, uh, so what is happening is, the data is actually being classified into three types. Structured, semi-structured, and unstructured actually. Okay. Structured is some data actually which has been which has been classified in such a way that when you have tables which are in normalized format actually, and you can actually remove the duplication or redundancy among the data. You can do the enrichment, standardization, consolidation. Okay, you can create master data, metadata, etc. Actually, okay. So then it becomes your structured data as such actually. Okay, most of the data that you actually find on Oracle's or MySQL or SQL Server or PostgreSQL or Aurora's kind of databases actually, are structured data as such actually. Okay, with which you can actually generate any kind of reports, any kind of dashboards, any kind of queries as such actually. Okay. Now, structured data, there is absolutely no problem actually. Do you think that there is a lot of structured data in this world? No. Why? Because you know since 2006 or 2007 actually, social media has actually penetrated into the IT market actually. Okay, and the likes of Facebooks, the likes of WhatsApps, the likes of Orkuts, the likes of Twitters, Instagrams, YouTubes, you imagine actually daily how much data is getting generated actually. I will tell you one example actually. See, if I'm chatting with my friend actually on Facebook, let me say, or WhatsApp, I just say that what is the breakfast you are taking today, I say I'm taking idli, So what kind of recipe? What kind of chutney you are taking? I'm taking some chutney. I'm taking some rasam. I'm taking actually. Okay. So this chart goes for 5 minutes. Let me say actually between two persons actually, and if it is in a group in WhatsApp actually. Okay. So many people would join and so much data gets generated. Where this data would be stored? All this is unstructured data, right? All this is unstructured data. And you imagine 760 crores people population in the world actually, not all of them are using, might be, daily, they're using WhatsApps, Facebooks, in Instagrams, etc. actually, and generating data for, which is of for smaller reasons also actually. Okay, it could not be a big reason actually. If somebody gets award, you congratulate them. That is a biggest event actually. You can congratulate them. That is a good data actually. Okay, good data to be propagated actually. But taking breakfast or taking lunch, taking dinner, what are you doing? Are you looking into this film as such? Is this film good? This kind of charts and conversation. How much these are happening actually? Just imagine how much data is getting accumulated actually. Okay, so this is where this is all unstructured data actually. This is all unstructured data, and imagine this data is growing enormously well, such that there is no cap on the data as such actually. Okay, one of the CEOs of General Electricals, General Electricals is a very big company actually. CEO of General Electricals in 2001, Jock Welch, you know, uh, he wanted once actually he went with his friend to play golf actually, to the golf course. Okay, and he General Electricals have got several ancillary branches actually. Okay, like GE Energy, GE Money, GE Power Systems. Power Systems is energy actually. GE Aeronautics. So many ancillary branches actually. Okay, they manufacture pneumatic engines and turbines. And BHEL is one of the customers for GE. Okay, so he went to play golf with his friend actually in the early morning actually, and he was asking his friend actually, see, my company has grown enormously. This company has been started in 1850, and it has grown enormously. If I want to get data actually, how many pneumatic engines and turbines that are being sold actually in the area of called Florida actually in US, between January uh, 2000 to March 2000. I can get the information very easily. Then that his friend, his laughed actually, seeing by hearing that statement. He said that please get that data actually. Okay? Then he went to his managers and started asking, started putting the question actually to get the data as such actually. Okay? And believe me, actually, he could not able to get the data even in after 3 days actually. Okay, because for every application there is database. For every damn application they created, there is a database actually. So there are isolated applications, isolated databases. There is no conglomeration of databases. There is no assimilation of databases. Okay, so it has become very very difficult actually for them to get the data actually. Then he was stunned actually, he was surprised, for such a big company in the world, I could not able to pull out the data which I wanted as such actually. And if I have to do a predictive analytics actually, like next year, how many pneumatic engines and turbines I need to sell actually, in Florida or in Dallas or in Austin actually, how should I do that, Then data warehousing concept has started actually, by two gentlemen, Bill Inman and Ralph Kimball as such actually, So what has happened is there was no assimilation of data during those times actually, and the data started getting assimilated, conglomerated. Okay, but all in the form of structured data actually. Okay. Now, if you see, the kind of organizations like ISRO actually, okay, Indian Space Research Organization, Research Center Imarat, and DRDO kind of organizations actually, they generate a lot of images actually, okay, through satellites, communication satellites actually. Okay. All the images, are unstructured data, right? How do you pull out the data actually? If you have a scanned copy, can you pull out the data from that? You cannot pull out the data from that. You cannot make it structured as easily as possible actually. Okay. You have to use OCR, ICR features, optical character reading or image character reading features. Still you cannot get the data in a proper format actually. Okay. So this is all unstructured data. Imagine how many pictures are getting uploaded in Facebook's daily. Okay. How many pictures are getting uploaded in WhatsApp? How many pictures are getting uploaded in Twitter? How many pictures are getting uploaded on YouTube? Everybody has got a YouTube channel nowadays, actually, right? See how much unstructured data is there. I would say that 90% of the data is still 90% of the data patterns are still not well out as such. Okay. And this is unstructured data. And you just talk about the Word documents, PDFs, PPTs, Excels, where the data has been stored actually, which are semi-structured data. You think about that kind of data actually, semi-structured data. So there is a lot of scope for the improvement actually in the next 50 years actually, People think that they are losing jobs or, there are no jobs actually. This year you might have seen actually, after pandemic, the doors are been opened, so every company is recruiting actually so many IT professionals actually, and you must have seen every engineering college actually has started with so many specialization branches like AI, ML, robotics, data science, cyber security, etc., actually, okay. And everybody is going towards computer science, right? You just imagine actually, next 50, 60 years, the entire IT world is going to be ruled by artificial intelligence and machine learning actually. This is about big data actually. Big data is big data, lot of data, unimaginable data, petabytes of data. You cannot even give a name to it actually. Okay? Petabytes, zettabytes, so much unstructured data actually. Okay, how do you derive patterns actually? Okay, the biggest retail company in the world actually, Walmart. Walmart actually has spread out. At least if I'm not wrong, it's spread out around 200 acres or 300 acres actually. Okay, now you just imagine if somebody entered into Walmart. A feeding mother has entered into Walmart and she wanted to buy a diaper for her child actually. Okay, and she just looks. She just gets diaper and she just looks whether any other products are there actually for her child, like milk or soaps or something like that. And if they're not available in the same rack, actually, just imagine the whole Walmart, whatever the positioning of the goods that were there actually goes for a toss, and people will not like, because people cannot walk so much distance actually, right? Even in small supermarkets itself actually we cannot walk so much distance actually, so the things have to be arranged in a proper place, so how does these patterns would arrive, association, clustering, all these patterns actually. So this is where the patterns of unstructured data, semi-structured data, even structured data, 90% of the patterns have not been drilled out as such actually. That is where there is a huge scope for big data actually. So big data is all about velocity, variety, veracity of data, volume of data. Okay, large volumes of data. Now you must have understood actually, what is the large volumes of data actually, how this is getting accumulated actually. For the biggest company like General Electricals or Pfizer, if you see Pfizer or GlaxoSmithKline actually during pandemic actually, They did a lot of research actually. If they do not get proper data actually, how does Pfizer would have actually come out with the vaccine actually? They should have to develop out the algorithms for that, right? Actually, so they should have the historical data available actually. Okay, without historical data, you cannot do anything as such actually, right? So that historical data also need to be in structured format. How do you convert that unstructured data and semi-structured data into structured data is one of the important things that we need to think of actually. Okay. So this is about big data as such actually, right? So any questions from anyone?
Please go ahead, sir. Please go ahead, sir. Very
Okay.
interesting to listen.
So one of the famous analysts, Gartner, actually has defined big data as high volume, high velocity, high variety of information. And the basic motto or the basic objective or endeavor of big data is to derive analytics out of it actually. Okay, I'll just say, give an example to you actually. Okay, in India, GST has been implemented, and fortunately, I did one of the projects in GST as such actually. And basically, let me take a rude example actually. Okay, like let me say in Guntur actually, most of you people know in Guntur in Andhra, tobacco is very famous for in Guntur actually, right? So many merchants actually, who actually grow tobacco pay more GST. Let me say, okay, an example, hypothetical example actually. Okay, now government of India thinks that if Guntur people are paying, Guntur farmers are paying, more GST, or Guntur merchants are paying more GST actually, okay, why don't we educate them actually to grow more crops in terms of red chili? Red chili is already famous in Guntur actually, but other crops actually, okay. So government of India comes up with an endeavor and says that you grow more crops, and so that the more GST would be paid by them actually, okay. So this is the education that would actually come out from government of India. Why? Because the merchants who are there actually who are paying more GST actually. Okay, so they are trying to educate them actually to grow more crops so that the revenues for the government of India comes more in the form of GST as such. How come this happen as such? Actually? This can happen only through predictive analytics actually. Okay? That means if you have the kind of soil that is available, fertility of soil that is available, and where you can think of such a crop can be grown actually, you can educate them because already they are farmers actually, okay. And you can say that you can grow these crops, we are going to give subsidies, we can actually encourage you, and they grow crops and they actually produce more crops as such actually, and more revenue comes out, and the more GST would be paid actually, right? This is all predictions. See, the processing of data leads to analytics as such, decision making, right? Decision making is very, very important. See, whatever that you do actually, from the data, ultimately you need to come out with insights as such, actually. Okay? If you do not come out with insights or decisions as such, the data is useless as such, right? For example, today we are conducting this session actually. You must have conducted so many sessions in IET actually, okay? And so historically you might have seen, so many people would be joining actually in the sessions, and if you think that these kind of topics actually are going to be given to students and the other people as such actually, eminent people, okay, then there would be huge turnout that would come out, and the institute actually uh, would gel up well as such as, okay. This could be possible only through historical data, right? You need to have the historical data available through which you can actually process the data, and from where you can get the insights actually, okay. This is the importance of the data actually,
Yes, Gartner has mentioned very clearly that high volume, high velocity, high variety of information, which uh, which actually leads to new forms of processing to enable enhanced decision making. Enhanced decision making is very key, important keyword here. Inside discovery. Inside discovery is predictive analytics as such. Actually. Okay. You need to have insights actually. You must be knowing about cephalogy actually. Cephalogy is a science which talks about the prediction of election results as such actually. Okay. You must have seen actually in Tamil Nadu every time, either AIDMK or DMK would come into power actually. Okay. So, most of the TV channels or news channels actually, do the pre-poll opinions, post-poll opinions, all that actually, how do they do that? They actually collect a lot of data actually, okay? And 80% of the times actually their predictions would come true as such actually, okay? Because historically they would have seen what kind of trend that would have been there actually, and they would randomly survey actually some people in some sectors as such actually, okay? And they would say that this government, this particular party is going to form the government, or this particular party is going to get the majority, and in 80% of the cases it becomes true as such actually. This is predictive analytics actually, or trend analytics, or futuristic analytics actually. So this is where the big data is going to be helpful. So when Google launched its image search feature in 2001, it has 250 million indexed images. Less than a decade later, the search giant has indexed over 10 billion images. Can you imagine that? 10 billion images by 2011 actually. Okay. Walmart, the biggest retail market, handles more than 1 million customer transactions every hour. 1 million customer transactions every hour, which is imported into databases estimated to contain more than 2.5 petabytes of data. The equivalent of, please try to understand, the equivalent of 167 times the information contained in all the books in the US Library of Congress, actually, in that particular point in time. Whatever the books that were being collected, actually, the information that was being collected, the whole information is equivalent to actually, okay? That 1 million customer transactions every hour, the data that would be collected is equivalent to 167 times the information that would have been collected in the US Library of Congress. Just imagine how much data is getting accumulated actually. How many transactions are happening actually. Facebook handles 40 billion photos from its user base. 40 billion. Okay, this is old data actually. Now it is almost 120 billion photos actually. Okay. Pico Falcon credit card fraud detection system. You can use it, big data for fraud detection systems, anti-money laundering systems actually. Okay. I did a very big project in anti-money laundering actually. Okay. Pico Falcon credit card fraud detection system protects 2.1 billion active accounts worldwide. 35 hours of content are uploaded to YouTube every minute. You just understand. 35 hours of content are uploaded to YouTube every minute. Every minute, actually. Okay. This is old data again. It could be enormously more as such. Twitter is set to handle on an average 55 million tweets per day. Earlier this year, its search feature was logging 600 million queries daily. That is what we mean when we talk about big data. Right? These are all big data examples actually. See, if anyone wants to search something, they just go to Google and search actually, right? There are so many other search engines available actually, So how much data that is getting accumulated actually, World Wide Web actually, the whole World Wide Web actually, you are getting the information from the whole World Wide Web into the Google actually, within no time as such actually, throughout the world. Okay? I was in Dubai, I was in Qatar, I was in Oman, I saw Google working there actually, within no time actually the local details I used to get actually, I traveled to Brisbane, I traveled to Sydney, I get the information so quickly, that is the power of the data actually, right? So we need to understand the importance of big data actually, okay? We talk about machine learning, artificial intelligence. All this would happen only through big data actually. If you don't have data, okay, you don't have anything actually. So data is very important. Elasticity of resources. Software and hardware resources are provisioned as needed to be cost efficient. Now this is most important thing actually, elasticity actually, See, you must be thinking actually, if at all big data was there actually, why it was not there when during Jockwell's time in 2001, right? That time also that big data was there, right? Actually, but at that point in time, I was in US actually, I do not have laptop actually. In US also there were no laptops. Laptops were just coming out. I bought a desktop there actually, very big desktop actually. Okay, and basically what happened was, during that point in time, the computer was very costly. The internal components of the computer actually, like random accessible memory, okay, CPU processor, okay, storage like SAN and NAS, okay, storage disk, hard disk, etc. Very costly actually. Okay, I would say till 2012 or 2013 actually, all those computing resources were very costly actually. Okay, so where do you store that big data? That was one of the problems why big data was, though existing actually, was not adaptable actually during that particular point in time because of the cost that was there actually for the computing resources actually. That is one point. The second point was there were no technologies which could able to dwell out actually the patterns that needs to be dwelled out for big data as such at that point in time. Okay, so that is another point why big data was not so popular at that point in time. Big data was there at that point in time also because the companies like General Electricals, which established in 1850, General Motors in 1860, actually, Pfizer's, all those companies have big data, right? Actually, but big data has become popular because after the computing resources have become cheaper. Actually, now what is the RAM? If you want to get 8 GB RAM, I think you need to spend 1,500 rupees or 1,600 rupees now. Actually, anybody can go and buy a RAM actually very easily. A SAN or NAS you can buy very easily actually. Okay, the computing resources have become very cheaper actually. Okay, so that it has actually given the flexibility to go to big data as such. Actually, you can store the big data actually. Okay, right? So elasticity means the way actually you can actually stretch your data to the maximum extent, or you can crunch the data to the lowest extent if the data is not required. That is what is called as elasticity. That is been possible with the provision of the cost efficient resources that have come into the market at this point in time, right? Then ability to add resources to a production store without incurring downtime and release resources without any downtime. This is also very important actually. You can add resources to a production store actually by means of elasticity actually without incurring downtime. You don't need to actually make the application down actually if you want to launch an application actually. Okay, this could be possible because there are so many technologies that have come up actually like DevOps. In cloud also there are so many things that have come up actually, infrastructure as code, etc. as such. Okay, so with which you can launch the application without actually putting the application down as such. Actually, did you see any time Facebook been down? Did you see any time Google been down? Did you see any time Amazon been down? You cannot see because they have data centers, they have disaster recovery centers. If one data center crashes out, actually they have disaster recovery centers available at every place as such. Okay. Indonesia is a place actually, when you land in Bali kind of island as such actually, okay, you will find tremors or earthquakes very frequently actually, okay. And if you want to establish a data center physically there actually, okay, with all HVAC, heat, ventilation, air conditioner, etc. Actually, it would be very troublesome because you don't know actually when the tremor is going to happen as such, right? So, in order to avoid that, actually, what they have done, actually, they have established Indonesian government have established their data centers in Singapore and Malaysia. Actually, Singapore and Malaysia are very tremor free zone countries as such actually. Okay. You must have seen actually NGRI, National Geo Research Institute actually, the headquarters being in Calcutta actually, the disaster recovery center is in Hyderabad actually. You must have seen in Uppal, NGRI Institute is there actually. Okay. So there was a 1500 or 2000 kilometers distance between the two centers actually. If one center is down due to any reason, the other center would pick up actually. There will not be any downtime as such actually. Okay. So you can actually launch the applications without actually having any downtime, which is also called as high availability actually. The customers are actually asking for 100% uptime, 0% downtime as such actually. Okay. Though practically it may not be possible, there could be some milliseconds latency that would be there actually. Okay, but still I would say that the applications, the Facebook kind of applications, Twitter kind of applications, they will never stop actually at any point in time due to any reason actually, unless and until some power goes in your house or internet is not available in our house actually. Other than that, from their end actually, it will never stop as such actually. Okay, ability to replace obsolete or defective hardware dynamically. You can actually replace obsolete hardware actually dynamically by means of horizontal scaling or vertical scaling or diagonal scaling as such actually. And fault tolerance is tolerating to the faults. Elasticity implies that the system has to be fault tolerant. That means whatever may happen actually, whether a crash happens, whether an earthquake happens, whether a tsunami happens, or whether a cyclone happens, you should have the systems to be as fault tolerant as possible actually. Okay, that is why all these cloud systems have come into picture. AWS, Amazon Web Services, Azure, Google Cloud, IBM, Oracle Cloud, Cloud Foundry, VMware, etc. actually. Okay, fault tolerant systems, people are building fault tolerant systems actually, disaster recovery centers, and within the data centers also they are actually building redundancy actually, so that the systems are becoming so fault tolerant as such. Okay, services does not fail even in the face of some component failures. If your workload is running on your system and some part of the system fails, the other parts of the system should configure themselves to share the work of the failed parts. So this is where I would say that the templates like Terraform kind of templates actually, or AWS templates would actually play a major role. If some parts of the systems would play, actually the other parts would automatically would recover up actually. Okay, uh, rolling update strategy kind of things have been becoming very popular in this kind of scenarios actually. I'm not saying for the purpose of saying actually, these are the practical things that are happening actually, and because we are implementing all these things as such actually. Okay, rolling update strategy we are implementing. If some part of the system fails, immediately the second part of the system would pick up actually, and there is no downtime at all actually. Okay, so skew in the data set, if there is a skew in the data set actually, many big data systems take unclustered raw data, which means there are always data points that are extreme outliers and introduce hotspots in the system. Still in those cases actually, the systems could be capable of generating data actually with flexibility and convenience and such actually. Okay, often lead to non-uniform workloads. Many times actually, there would be non-uniform workloads. Still the systems are able to tolerate them actually. Okay, outliers or hotspots actually, they could able to recognize actually. Okay, even if there is this higher workload actually, the scalability that could be there actually with respect to the computing resources that have been there actually. I would say that Facebook has got 10,000 virtual system cluster as such available actually. Okay, so it will not stop at any point in time actually. You just imagine the kind of systems that are there as such actually. Okay. So these are some of the characteristics of big data as such actually. Any questions, please?
Participants, any questions? Are there any queries?
Any queries from anyone?
I have a small question. Sarveshwar Rao here. Sir, hello.
Yes,
Sir,
sir. Please.
your voice is breaking in between. Actually, can you please?
I am Sarveshwar Rao.
Yeah,
I have
please.
a small
Yeah.
question. We are talking about big data and all these things, and you have given such a nice picture. So for beginners, it's a very good eye-opening. Sir, I have a small question. In what way machine learning and deep learning can be linked with big data? That's the thing I want to know.
Okay. So your question is in what way deep learning is linked with big data, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So see, basically, you need to understand an important thing actually. Okay. See, machine learning, deep learning, cognitive learning, all these are the accessory or ancillary branches of artificial intelligence actually. Okay. Basically, what does it do is, if you have supervised data that is available actually, okay, with the supervised data that is available, the system would learn on its own as such actually, without actually being programmatically done as such, or without you doing programming as such actually. The system would learn on its own. Most of the IVR systems like interactive voice recording systems, etc. actually, okay, that you see in ICICI Bank or Axis Bank or HDFC Bank actually, they're all machine learning kind of systems actually. Okay. So deep learning is a bit deep into the machine learning actually. It's also one type of machine learning actually, where you would be finding that, the kind of supervised learning, unsupervised learning would be possible actually. Like for example, it actually takes the importance of cognition as such actually. Okay. That means, it would learn, from the trends that are there actually, that are already being set up for the data actually, and it would learn on its own as such actually. Okay. Which is also part of reinforcement learning as such. So what does it do is actually, I would give one example so that you would understand it better actually, which is again a rude example actually. Okay. So one patient actually, one psychiatric patient, not psychiatric patient actually, one patient who is having a phobia of lizards, okay, went to a psychiatrist actually, okay. So he was very uh, he was very afraid of lizards as such actually, okay. And whenever he see lizard, he cries, he screams, and he actually runs away actually, okay. He went to a psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist has taken him, and the first day actually he put him to counseling, and said that, okay, you sit here, and he actually counseled him, and he took him to a room actually, okay, where he put some plastic lizard actually inside a cage, and left that guy actually into that room, and he shut the door out as such actually, okay. And that guy, after seeing the plastic lizard actually, cried uh, for 1 hour actually, and after that he started looking into that lizard actually. There is no movement for that lizard, and he started thinking that there is no movement, so I don't think something will happen actually. So 7 days, this kind of training has happened to that guy actually. Okay, counseling has happened to that guy. Okay, and on the 8th day actually, a real lizard has been put into the cage actually, and the guy was taken into the room actually. Now the lizard is moving. Now the guy started screaming once again actually. But he started. The lizard is not doing any harm to him actually. It's not coming out. It's not doing any harm actually. And after 7 days of counseling actually, then the lizard has been thrown open actually. Okay, the guy again cried actually for 2 or 3 days, and he saw that the lizard is not doing any harm to him actually. Then he adjusted to that actually. Okay. So after the 21 days of counseling, actually, he was completely out of the phobia of lizard as such actually. Okay. So this could happen actually only if you have data that is available, because the past data that has helped the psychiatrist to come up with that kind of cognitive learning as such actually, right?
So the cognition of deep learning is something like, when you have actually the deepest data that is available at your disposal actually, okay? So it can actually learn the things as such, okay, on its own, with finer algorithms like random forest or Naive-Bayes theorem kind of algorithms as such. Then that kind of learning actually would help eventually in getting the insights from the big data as such. Actually. So deep learning is one of the accessories actually for big data as such. Actually, not only deep learning, reinforcement learning, cognitive learning. All these are the things actually which ultimately helps to process.
So you said these supporting things for big data.
What is that?
These all things can be supporting sort of things for big data.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So thank you, sir. Thank you for your very good clarity. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay, so if there are no questions, actually, then
in chat box, somebody has put a question. You can take up that.
Any questions?
Yeah. Good morning, this Kosiganti Garu.
Yeah.
This, I am Rajesh Kumar. Actually I am scientist in DLRL.
Okay.
Presently I am working in some project actually on big data analytics.
Okay.
Okay, so I thought at the end of the presentation I will ask questions. So I was waiting, but okay. So basically, if you can throw some light on the technologies and techniques to be used to process the unstructured data. So because I am working in that, so that any generic solution I want to make it, sir. So that any type of reports or test results can be processed with the help of big data tools without putting much efforts on the application software. So in that aspect, if you can throw some light, sir. I'm already in this line. Sir.
Yeah, very good question,
I'll be
sir.
happy to see.
Yeah, very good question, sir. Rajesh Garu. Very good question. Sure. Basically, see, big data actually, there are so many systems that are there actually, One of the important systems I would say is Hadoop Distributed File System, HDFS actually, okay. There used to be some kind of programming thing that used to be there actually, which is called as MapReduce programming as such actually, okay, which has become obsolete now actually, okay. So there are databases like HBase, okay, data warehouse for big data like Hive actually, okay. Then you have actually for unstructured data, key value based data like MongoDB, okay. Then you have Cassandra DB, okay. Then CouchDB, okay. So there are so many databases that are there actually, which can take big data into your stride actually, okay. I found that HDFS Hadoop Distributed File System is a very good database actually, okay. And HBase and Hive are also very good actually, okay. But if you want to purely go with the unstructured data kind of stuff, where you want to have key value based kind of mechanism to be done actually for the processing as such actually, MongoDB is the best one actually. Okay. Having said that, I'm not denying Cassandra DB also, because I use both MongoDB as well as Cassandra DB actually. They are very good databases, very easy to learn as such actually. This is as far as databases are concerned as such actually. In order to generate or process the data as such actually, okay. Basically, nowadays, instead of MapReduce, people started using Spark kind of programming actually with Python. Okay, you need to know Python actually. Okay, so Spark is very, very famous. Okay, you can use Python with that. Okay, then Python, there are libraries like Panda. Okay, you can use some editors like Jupyter Notebooks, Jupyter Notebook. Okay. Kind of stuff actually. There are so many libraries available in Python, and now compared to Java actually, Python is more versatile for big data as such.
Then the reporting tools, there are plenty of reporting tools that are available actually. Okay. One of the best reporting tool, which is very easy to use tool, is called as ClickView actually. KLIKVIEW, ClickView actually. ClickView is a in-memory database, in-memory reporting tool, which actually get a lot of insights into the data and generates a lot of dashboards, reports actually. Okay. Tableau is another important reporting tool actually. Okay. IBM has got a tool called as SPSS, SPSS actually. Okay. Statistical package versus software service. Sorry, statistical package for software services actually. Okay. Then you have Pentaho tools actually that are available. Okay. Pentaho is also very famous actually. Okay. Very costly tools are also there. SAS tools are also available. SAS analytics tools are also available actually, but they are very costly. What I found was ClickView and Tableau are very good tools as such actually. Okay. You cannot afford for those tools actually. You can use a tool called as Jasper actually. Okay. Which is actually nowadays has been handed by, or it has been acquired by Red Hat as such actually. Jasper is also a very good tool actually. So you can use R language also actually. Okay, R also is useful for generating reports as such. So there are plenty of tools available at your disposal actually. Okay, these are some of the tools which I have highlighted actually. Okay, but basically processing is very important actually. You can do processing by means of Spark data processing actually. Okay. And the most important thing that you need to understand is actually whether you are getting streaming data actually, the real-time streaming data. If you are getting real-time streaming data actually, I recommend you to go for Apache Kafka, which is a messaging queue tool actually, which streams the data to the best possible extent actually. Okay. And it is very, very versatile as such actually. Okay. So these are the tools, some of the tools that I would quote as such.
Sir, actually right now I'm planning to use this Cloudera technology. So is it
okay, so basically you see Cloudera, MapR, or in a big data kind of tools actually. In Cloudera also actually you have plenty of tools available. Okay, there is one tool called as Power BI. Okay? Power BI.
okay, sir?
Power BI is a fantastic tool actually. Okay, it comes
From Cloudera?
Yes, it comes with Cloudera actually. Okay, and there is another tool, virtualization tool, which comes with Cloudera, which is called as Denodo. Okay. Fantastic one, Cloudera actually acquired MapR, I think.
Hortonworks.
Hortonworks, sorry. Hortonworks. Cloudera acquired Hortonworks. Okay. MapR has become obsolete actually, like I mentioned. Cloudera Denodo tool is fantastic virtualization tool. Power BI you can use, fantastic tool actually, which is a Microsoft tool actually. It's not Cloudera tool, but it gels well with Cloudera actually. Okay, you can use Denodo, for virtualization. Okay, and for data processing, all that you can use Denodo as such.
Sir, you have mentioned this R language can be used for analyzing unstructured database.
Correct.
Generally, it's good for analyzing.
Not for analyzing unstructured data. Actually, it is R language is for generating reports actually after processing unstructured data.
Okay, right.
After processing unstructured data, you have to process the unstructured data. For processing the unstructured data, you have to use either Spark kind of systems or again Cloudera kind of systems again. Actually. R is a tool actually which is meant for querying actually or report generation.
Yeah, statistical analysis.
Statistical analysis.
Yeah.
Yeah, data visualization.
Yeah, it's very good.
Power BI is a very good data visualization tool.
Yeah, Power BI from Cloudera only.
Power BI is Microsoft, I think.
Okay, this is from Microsoft.
Sorry. Power BI,
Cloudera.
Cloudera. SPSS and SSRS are there. SSRS is also a reporting tool, sir, actually. Very good tool. I think SSRS is from Microsoft. I'm sorry.
Actually, sir, I have also done a little bit study on this because when I was working in this project, so we could able to finalize this Oracle database for structured data, and then Cloudera for processing all ETL processes. So for that we finalize the Cloudera tools. And then CDP.
You can use CDP. Oracle Data Integrator, ODI.
Yeah, ODI also.
And the OBIE is reporting tool. Actually.
Yeah. So you are correctly saying. We have also purchased this Oracle this Business Intelligence Enterprise Edition.
Very good.
And they call as Oracle Analytics.
Very good.
Analytics tools. And we are also having ODI for BI, so that BI,
ODI is meant for BI only. Oracle Data Integrator is meant for BI only.
But nowadays, what they are telling is, what all the reports you are having in this BI tool, that reports if you want to integrate with the structured data, then ODI for BI also there, and ODI is also existing between structured and unstructured data. So like Cloudera and
absolutely.
So just because you are the expert, so I wanted to just know
absolutely.
My thinking is in sync or not.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
And also there are other tools like nowadays Talend is one tool actually which has come up with unstructured data actually. Okay, Talend. And Informatica is also another tool. Okay. IBM has got Data Stage. OBIE is the reporting tool actually. OBIE.
Yeah, OBI is reporting tool. Okay, sir. This actually, when we were in this software development, that time I believe you are from Tech Mahindra, no, sir? Am I right?
Yes.
So I have also approached you. Your Mr. Mahakali or Mahalakshmi, somebody is there that who has already worked in DLRL. So I approached, but not much response came from me. Your end, people may be busy.
I think she might be a junior actually. See, because basically, see what is happening, sir. Actually, we are not supporting Indian projects very much. Actually,
Yes.
There are a lot of problems we are facing. Actually, especially with Indian customers as such. Actually, okay. So we got some troubles actually in getting revenues as such, So of late, we are not supporting too much of Indian projects actually. But having said that, some bigger projects we are supporting like GST. SBI is one of our biggest customer actually in banking sector. Okay. Municipal Corporation of Delhi. Okay. But we have faced a lot of challenges actually, in getting revenues actually from the customers. Okay. A lot of bureaucracy and red tapeism is there, right? Just see, I'm not against anyone actually. I'm saying actually, okay. DLRL is a very famous organization. It is doing national duty. It's a fantastic organization actually. There are no doubts in it actually, but it's a company decisions are actually okay.
Yeah. Actually, when we are building one of the national importance project and we are working in this technologies which are the first of its kind in DRDO. So I thought if we get a good developer partner like you, so I was thinking in that way. But okay, somehow we heard the same thing whatever you are telling this right now.
Absolutely.
So good. I will be happy to be in touch with you if you can share with your mail ID and all. So
sure, sir.
Nice, sir.
Basically, I'm an enterprise architect actually. I look after all the technologies. I give solutions to various customers, irrespective of it's not only big data. I'm I'm specialist in all the stuff actually: big data, data warehouse, machine learning, data mining, Java, .NET, infrastructure management services. I give a lot of architectures actually.
I request Namasivaya sir and this chairman to share his mail ID to me.
Okay,
Sure, sir.
Thank
Sure.
you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your elaborate webinar on this big data and also for answering the various so many queries. Thank you so much, sir. And very soon we will call to you IETE for your felicitation. And now I request our Vice Chairman Sangamkar sir to propose a vote of thanks.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Srinivas Rao, for your excellent lecture on big data. This is one of the latest topic where everyone is interested. And we had an interesting conversation between Rajesh Kumar and our eminent speaker, Dr. Srinivas Rao.
Sir, it's my privilege, sir. Actually, such eminent people, who are there, giving a lecture in front of them. Though I give lectures to a lot of corporate people, actually, Bits Pilani, all those people. These people are very eminent people, and these people are very structured people. Actually, I would say, emphatic people. I'm very privileged to do so. Actually,
Sir, thank you for your humbleness. But what happens with this computer science and electronics? These subjects are such that though the senior people are there, this technology is growing so fast. The obsolescence also will become with the senior people. They will not be able to grasp the topic which is coming today. The younger generation is doing much better in this developing fields. So we have to respect that. We have to respect them also. So senior members will give their expertise based on their experience and all those things. They will be always there to guide. But for the moment it comes to coding and programming and all such new subjects learning, younger generation is preferred.
Absolutely, sir. It's whatever you said is absolutely correct. They are like Rishabh Pants actually. They can hit the ball, from anywhere actually.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are right, sir. So we know that you are working with one of the prestigious Indian company we are proud of, that software company, that is Tech Mahindra, who are doing really well in the software. They have written their name in all over the world. They are known for their technology and expertise. And I also thank Venkateshwar Rao Garu, who has attended today, Sarveshwar Rao, Dr. Veerabhadra Rao, Professor Lakshmi Narayana, Rajesh Kumar, who has asked the question also, and our chairman, IET Hyderabad chairman, Ganeshwar Rao, P. Sandhya, Secretary Luli Namashivai, and Christopher John. So we are happy, sir. We will be hearing more and more about this technology, and we'll be curious to know the latest trends. We have covered the disaster management as well as the handling of the big data, how to handle, and various tools that are to be used. It's quite learning for us, sir. It's good learning for us. Thank you, sir. Thank you for all the people who attended this online session, and we'll be meeting again next Sunday with new topics, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, and have a good day.
Thank you, Srinivas Rao Garu,
for the excellent
time
presentation
giving
and
us
excellent
a very good lecture.
arrangement of the talk of the today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. All of you, please kindly fill the feedback link which is provided in the chat box to get the e-certificate.
Thank you. Thank you very
See
much.
the next webinar on next Sunday, and also we'll see physically on 10th October. Please kindly note down in your diary. And it is a IET Hyderabad Foundation Day celebrations, where our IET president from New Delhi is also attending, and also hand over this best center prize physically to us, and also we'll have the celebration, and also will award best ISF chapters in Hyderabad region, best ISF chapters, and also best ISF coordinator. So these awards also we are presenting on that day. So kindly make it convenient to attend the function on 10th October. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Srinivas Rao Garu, once again.
Thank you, sir. Thank
Very
you so
good.
much. Yeah.
Very good lecture, sir.
you.